Hi,
Hello.
I'm Julian.
And I am Tom.
We are Team Binge. We are back to talk about episode 7 of a little TV show called Rooster. Cock-a-doodle-doo. This one is called All the Dogs' Names, dogs being plural and names being something they possess. Tom, we are working through this show, and you asked me before we started to record, hey, I'm curious what you thought of this one, and I said, thanks. Let's do it on mic, because we shouldn't have conversations unless they're recorded and sent out to tens and tens of strangers, Tom.
Exactly.
So I will lead off this discussion by saying I enjoyed this one. I enjoyed this one more than maybe the last two. And it's pretty simple. I like John C. McGinley. They give him quite a bit more in this episode. He's kind of the pulse of this episode. He gets to be funny. I enjoy Walt. So I had some fun with this one. I laughed. I don't think we've gone anywhere farther in terms of how these characters are developing and what we want from these characters, other than, I guess, the Archie and Sonny and Katie of it all. But I found this one to be funny, and I don't know. I'm just taking it for what it is, like a 30-minute sitcom where I don't want anything more than some laughs.
Yeah. Well, it's funny you said that at the end, because I feel like this is the first episode in a bit where we actually have character movement, where there's actually some sort of movement with Archie and Sonny
Sure.
and Katie. And the goofiness with Dylan and like shooting her down last episode only to immediately kind of bring her up. Like, I'm all for it and I think it's great. But like, why bring Riggs back in the first place to do some of this? So I still have like questions and whatever, but I thought we moved the ball forward, and I had a lot more fun with this one than previous for sure. And we got some fantastic new cameos and characters that I can't wait to talk about.
Sure. I think, I mean, you do have a moment where they're like, oh, we're going to do an ultrasound. And then all of a sudden Archie's like, oh, it's a human. And I love it. You're like, all right, show. Like, this is not an original thought. Thanks for... It either goes two ways. Either the doctor goes, there's no heartbeat, or they're like, oh, we love this weird image on a screen. Like, that's all a TV show will do. So,
Yeah.
I don't know. You're right. It did move the plot along, but did it do it in a way that was as cliche as possible? Probably. I do find Phil Dunster, Archie, whatever, he's doing a great job. He's like a guy that knows he's charming, but somehow like he misses a lot. So it's a good time. But
Yeah.
let's dive into it, because this show is like, hey, you guys were really invested in Greg and Crystal, and so we're gonna give you a lot of Greg and Crystal's falling out. And I'm kind of like, show, I actually don't care about Greg and Crystal. I hate to be the bad guy, but I don't. We ended with Greg being caught in the kitchen by Tommy after having relations with Crystal. And this leads to some awkwardness in class, which we start by... Greg, very on the nose, is like, hey, an audience can feel when something's not real and they'll leave. And I was like, show? Are you listening to yourself? This is a little on the nose.
Shh, quiet.
You're saying it very loudly in the show. You're almost mocking us as an audience. And he talks about like researching books. There is a very funny line where the student that he doesn't like is like, oh, I've never read any of your books. And he's like, thanks for bringing that up. I thought that was great. But
Ronnie's the best.
all of this to have Tommy in sunglasses in class, still upset. And I understand why, I guess, a little bit.
Yeah, it's fair. I like the line about seeing a professor's privates was kind of funny. And like his like poetry of saying Greg is a snake between two Gatorade bottles. I think that was, and I liked how Greg thought, oh, that was good, like sentence structure or something like that. It was kind of weird and off-putting, but whatever, it was fine.
Well, it was, Greg tried to hide himself between two Gatorade bottles, and so that's how he described the situation, which Greg as a writer latched on. I'm assuming that phrase is going to make it into the next Rooster novel. Who knows?
Yeah.
I mean, we could talk about it here because you mentioned seeing a professor's private parts, but Crystal makes a point of being like, oh, Tommy has had a lot of like weirdness with teachers between me and his dad. like having affairs with teachers. So I don't know why Tommy's so upset. It sounds like this is par for the course and that this has happened before.
Yeah, the next scene, it's like, yeah, Crystal and Greg she was saying that the dad left her for a math teacher. So that's why he was also like, it's just
That's why
weird.
Tommy hates math. Yeah, that's why we all hate math, you know?
Yeah.
But
it's just weird. So they have types, I guess.
Yeah, they definitely have types. And I mean, I don't know. It's funny, but once again, they're like, hey, Crystal's like, we need to break up. This isn't working. And I'm like, am I rooting for this relationship? I don't know, because I'm kind of not. But
I didn't get any of this. Like, you have Crystal that said she wanted a relationship and says, like, hey, I'm no floozy. And then, it's like the Dylan thing. It's like you immediately just go 180 in the next episode where she's the one that is breaking it off and saying, we can't do this. We can't. And then they do the kissy thing, like prolonged. And you assume, like, okay, they're going to kiss and then they're going to go into the bedroom. But that never happens. And then all you have is just Crystal just depressed the entire episode and then gone half the episode.
Which affects
you're
Walt.
the one that broke it off.
That's the big picture is Crystal being sad affects Walt. And you're like, okay, yeah. I guess that's rough on Walt. But I mean, I don't know. This almost feels like these guys, every time they go in to write an episode, it's like a yes or a no on Greg and Crystal. They roll the dice, it gives them an answer, and then it's like Mad Libs. They're like, all right, in this episode, they're not going to work out. Like, they're just, it's almost like a writing challenge, and we as the audience have to hold on to this bunking Bracco of things changing. But, yeah, so there's Greg and Crystal are no more. I don't care. Speaking of people...
I guess the annoying thing, well, just before you move on, like,
go
I feel
ahead.
like the annoying thing is going to be, are they just going to keep doing this, like, on and off again, kind of like a relationship the whole time? Like, if Crystal's going to be, like, depressed that he didn't fight for her, or we get a little bit later. Like, do you feel like this is going to be a through line, or are we just going to have her move on the next episode? Because the dice rolled accordingly.
I don't think Greg had a real strong emotional connection to Crystal. In fact, he was only trying because she asked him to try. And even at some point, she's like, oh, I thought you would fight for me. And he's like, what would you do if I did? And she's like, the same thing. We would still break up. So I think these two are done. I think our issue is whether or not they're going to try and make Dylan and Greg a thing and then bring back Connie Britton in the end of the season. And so Greg has to make a choice between his ex-wife and Dylan, and Crystal was all a smokescreen. If that's how this all goes, I'm going to be whatever. It's fine. It's a TV show. I'll move on. I don't know that I or it is going to show up for a season 2, so who knows? And I know we're being... go ahead.
It's already gotten picked up for a season 2.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. Interesting. Well, Tom, I'm not committing to season 2. Once again, and I don't want to make this all negative. There's a lot of parts of the show that I laughed at and I find funny, and a lot of the actors I'm enjoying. It's a little bit confusing as to what I'm rooting for and how I'm rooting for. And as we've mentioned before, I like characters either good or bad. I either root for them or I don't. That's it. That's as simple as Julian gets, you know? And it's the same thing with, it's the same thing with Archie and Katie. It's like Archie shows up before her class and he's super charming and he's like, I hope you choose us. I don't want to lose you. I've given you this poppy seed muffin from, I don't know, Italy, and a coffee that I didn't want, but you'll probably like. And he's like, I'm going to come back every day. And you're like, in my mind, I'm like, he's not going to last 2 days. And you know what, show? He didn't last 2 days. Like, what's happening here?
Yeah, it was like essentially he's just trying to buy her affection and still like guilt trip her into with baked goods and coffee that was specifically for him. I don't know if you mentioned that, but it was just a little bit too much froth or something, so he gave it to her. Just again, even doing a kind thing, he's still selfish about it.
Yeah, I mean, they spend a lot of time in this episode talking about how specific he is about his coffee, and it's like, great, I love it. We get Sonny's dad is like, man, this guy really likes, I think it's a cortata. I don't know. I'm not a coffee other than, you know, my normal, which is from a Keurig with some creamer in it and maybe some sugar and a candy cane. And then I like to put a little cinnamon on top and some marshmallows. My coffee is super simple, almost like black, you know, but add all those other things into some nutmeg.
I know you're a big affogato fan, though.
Yeah, big affogato fan. Huge. Oh, man. Affogato is ice cream and coffee, for those of you that don't know. But for those of you that have been asked to make one at a family gathering, that's what it is. All right. Let's go to Dylan and Greg. This is... Dylan, to your point, we had this quick turnaround. We gave Dylan happiness. We took the happiness away. They rolled the dice, and they were like, Dylan's not happy in this episode. Riggs is
They rolled
back.
a natural one.
Right. Yes. A nat 1. So Riggs is back. He's her nat 1. He's buddies with Walt again. Dylan observes this, and then she's complaining to Greg. And she's like, I didn't realize I was going to love it as much as I did. I had the job for 30 minutes, and now it's my life's dream. Like, I don't know. I really like Dylan as a character. I wish we would have gotten like 3 episodes, and maybe we did, and time is just compressed because I'm getting old and slowly marching towards death. But it really feels like we should have given Dylan more time in this dream job of hers.
Yeah, and I feel like they're trying to play it like she misses this job, she misses being heard. Like, I really like that line from her, but none of the stuff just feels like earned, I guess, from a show standpoint, because we didn't see her working with students or working with faculty in any meaningful way that made us as an audience say like, oh yeah, she should go for it, as opposed to this English department head that she gets offered here in a sec.
Right. They gave us very limited Dylan being great at her job, but I have no doubt she would be wonderful. And she's going to be wonderful based on how this... Once again, by the end of the episode, they're like, we tied this one up too. Dylan,
Boom.
They rolled someone knocked the table and the dice rolled to a 20. And they're like,
Yeah,
she's
20,
dean of faculty again. Here we go. And so... all of this is, it's a funny scene simply because Dylan and Greg, while talking, we discover that he's chained the door between Walt's office and his.
There's no better lock than a chain lock.
I love this. I have no doubt John C. McKinley could karate chop that lock open, but he doesn't.
I think it would have been funnier had he, like, and maybe he did in the episode where they didn't play it off heavy, if he tried to like open the door, hits the chain, and then he runs into the wall or the
Sure.
door and like hits his head really hard.
Oh, yeah,
because you would
yeah.
not expect this.
Head injuries are always funny, Tom, especially when they're real. Speaking of head injuries, Greg is now the hockey coach. So when are we getting the hockey episode? Is this the finale? Is this the penultimate episode, Tom? When are we going deep hockey? Is it next episode? Or is next
7.
episode mascot? I think next episode is mascot focused.
I don't get, the mascot little bit we had. We could talk about it when we get there. I don't understand what that was, but I mean, we've got 3 more episodes, so maybe 8. I can't imagine it's going to be the penultimate to set up some sort of finale, but sure.
Tom, let's roll it back. Okay, so a mascot, you don't seem to understand what a mascot is. So a mascot is not a real person. I should take that back. It's a real person inside of a person's suit, and they're like representing something. So like Ludlow's mascot is probably like a rich college kid that goes to a liberal arts school. So they just have like a larger padded head. So that wasn't a real person. Like that was a costume on a real person.
Okay.
So that's what a mascot is. I think I defined that correctly. Let's move on.
I mean, you did. I just didn't understand why it was missing and what the mascot actually was.
It's not missing.
To your point.
He's creating malfeasance all over campus. We saw him twice. He's not missing. He's just running around, I guess you could say this mascot suit is missing. But once again, Tom, the mascot, it's more of an idea, embraced in a suit. So... I'll send you I've got some literature on mascots I'd like you to read. I'll send it to you once we get off the pod.
Please.
Off the pod. It sounded like the potty, but anyways, here we go. All right, Walt and Dylan, they're talking. The opener here, I don't know if you caught it, where she's like, hey, you got to stop making sonnets about Ireland and FDR. I know they're you. That was so good.
So good. I got to ask you, what's your poetry? If Walt is all about doing Ireland and FDR, what would be your go-to poetry subjects?
I mean, listen, I've got a soft spot in my mind for Tolkien wrote some poetry. C.S. Lewis wrote some poetry. But both of those lead to my deep, deep love, and this is the darkness of my heart, is there's a lot of like World War I, I'm a British dude in a trench poetry. That they wrote like the most beautiful thing you've ever heard, and then the next day they were like killed on Armistice Day or something. So World War I trench poetry, Tom. That's probably
Were they were they bunnies or a different type of animal, or were they humans?
Yes, which honestly we have not asked enough questions about. But yes, my poetry is all written by rabbits in the trenches of World War One.
I do want you and the audience to know we did attempt to find my wife's college hard drive and see if we can find that specific paper, but it wasn't compatible with our computers. We didn't have the cables for it, so it's lost forever.
Incredible. They found my college hard drive, and that's why that judge slapped that judgment against me. There's certain things. Anyways, let's move on. All right. So as a consolation prize, which I don't know, is this a bad thing? Dylan seems relatively young. So it's like, okay, she's not going to be the dean of faculty, but we give her the head of the English department, and eventually she becomes the dean of faculty. I mean, that seems like a legitimate career path, no?
I mean, if she didn't have the taste of the deanness, then yes, I would say that's fair. But
it's like when you eat human for the first time, you can't stop eating human.
Exactly.
Once you've eaten the dean of faculty job, it's like Turkish delight and that dumb kid in The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. You just have to get more and betray your siblings. All right, yeah. I do also want to point out during this conversation that she throws Greg under the bus, and people seem to be throwing Greg under the bus quite a bit to Walt, where they're like, hey, the reason I'm making your life miserable is because Greg talked to me, and Greg made me realize my dreams because he's Rooster, which, once again, we threw away that premise, Tom. He's not even being Rooster anymore. Like, I don't, if he would have, like, put on his aviators and been like, Dylan, you want that job, you should be inspired to have that job. Go tell Walt. And she'd be like, okay, Rooster. Like, that would make sense to me. But it's just like Greg being like, hey, if you like the job, let Walt know. All right, thanks. I don't know.
I mean, essentially just setting up Walt's like list of grievances or transgressions later for him to deliver to Greg. But yeah, again, the whole Roosterness of it all is very downplayed. And I mean, I don't know if I want even more. Like, it was an interesting idea for the trailer, but it seems like that was kind of it.
I want them to go back to the frat bro night where they all get drunk again. That was my favorite part of the show, Tom. I'm on record. Give me more students, I've always said. Give me more students. Give me more student debauchery. That's what I come to this show for. That's sarcasm, Tom. I want none of that. Let's go talk with some adults and I guess one student. This was all very weird. We have Mo, Archie, Sonny, and Freddie, who happens to be Sonny's dad, visiting the daughter at school, and she's dating a professor and having a child with a professor. And Freddie, who's just playing Jerry from Parks and Rec, is super cool with this. This character, once again, you'd have some questions for the guy that was your daughter's professor and knocked her up. Would you not, maybe? Possibly?
Absolutely not. I mean, I get it's goofy from his perspective. Like, he's like, oh, God bless you bringing a baby into my life. Like, I can't be mad at you. Like, okay, cool. I would agree with you that I have some questions. But, man, it just put a big old smile on my face to see Jim O'Heir come on screen. He's just so fantastic, and I want to see him in more things. He's such a fun, lovable character.
Jerry Gergich?
Jerry Gergich. Jerry, Gary, Larry,
Gary or Jerry?
It changes by season.
Oh, man. When they surprise him in Parks and Rec, and he has a quote-unquote heart attack, which...
No, it's a fart attack.
Thank you. I was trying to... I guess that word is appropriate for this podcast.
You could say fart.
We almost put it in the title of our podcast name, if I remember. It was it was Binge or that name.
I thought it was Team Fart.
We could have, this is terrible. We could have replaced team with that word, and it would have been great. Yeah, sure. Stop saying it. Oh, it's so juvenile. Speaking of juvenile, I thought it was interesting that he comes in as the, like, hey, Archie, you should be more involved. Like, we couldn't have children, so they adopted Sonny. Like, I liked that part of it. It felt a little like show-y or show-ism-y, but I don't know. I to your point, it was nice just to see Jerry again.
Yeah, agreed.
And he was delightful. Okay, Crystal's sad. We talked about this. She's just laying her head on the desk, and then she's gone from this episode? Is that what happens with Crystal? And we find out she just didn't do any work for Walt. That was it.
She's on sabbatical.
Yes, incredible. We get more of Archie and Katie, coffee and croissant, cool. You're like, man, my spouse was like, she's like, I don't understand. Because we have Archie and Sonny in the booth, and Archie's like being supportive there. But then he's showing up every morning here. I'm not rooting for Archie. Archie's a scumbag. Like, what are we doing here? And also, I would argue that Sonny and Katie are not really holding him accountable. It's not their fault. He's a scumbag. But I find this whole triangle, I mean, they kind of dissolve it by the end of this episode, but I don't know. This is not a Sam and Diane, will they, won't they, you know?
I feel like that's more the Dylan and Greg of it all. Like, are they going to potentially get together? But, like, I mean, the way this episode ends, it's like, well, okay, now is Katie going to be the one kind of trying to fight to get him back? And I don't necessarily want to see that story either. Like, hopefully this can be a catalyst for everybody to move on, but I doubt that'll happen.
Archie's a coward. Someone should push him down the stairs. That's what they should do. When he was at the top of the stairs and he, like, waved at Katie but didn't go down, Mo or Zoe, any of the 3-lettered students should have pushed him down the stairs. Joe, Bo. Wait, never mind. Let's move on. All right. We've got this weird dog encounter, which we get the name of the episode from, but it's like Greg recognizes who Freddy is. Freddy kind of like vaguely aware of Greg might be someone he knows, and to do the workaround, he's like, oh, I'm dog guy, because he's walking Giuseppe or whatever the open mouth kiss dog is. I don't know. This was fine. This was not a real conversation that humans have. That's all I'll say.
I feel like they just wanted to write Jim O'Heir and Steve Carrell into a scene.
Sure.
So then like they can have a scene later where he's like signing and writing the book. But it was goofy. And I'm really not a huge fan of like the episode titles of this. Like, they feel like just complete throwaway episode titles from a quick line of the show. Like, it'd be kind of nice if it meant a little bit more meaning to the overarching episode, but that's being very nitpicky.
Sure. No, that's fair. But I would also roll to, man, we're so negative. I would also roll to that conversation that you just mentioned with Fred and Greg, where Fred comes in, he's like, hey, you're my favorite author, will you sign my book? And Greg says something like, oh, should I write it to the guy whose daughter my wife's soon-to-be ex-husband knocked up? And I was like, no one would say that. It's an insane thing to say. What is wrong with you? I don't know. Once again, people don't talk like this. And I know it's a TV show. It's not real, Tom. It's not real. Julian, it's not real. Sorry, I'm working through the steps of TV addiction. And step number 4 is it's not real. Step number 5 is a higher power. Step number 6 is that Paramount Plus is the highest of power. That's the...
Oof. I don't think that's true.
All right. Or it's Netflix. Whoever charges me another $1 a month at random via an email, those jerks. Okay. So let's talk Greg and Walt. Greg and Walt are having a heart-to-heart here because Greg shows up. He's like, come to talk to Crystal. Crystal, she's not there. And Walt's like, hey, Greg, do you happen to know what's wrong with Crystal? And he clearly knows everything at this point, right? Mm-hmm. He knows that they've developed some sort of romantic relationship. He's known that they've made Congress on his desk. And Greg won't share. Is it ridiculous of Walt to be like, hey, Greg, aren't we friends? They're not friends. Greg has done he put a lock on the door. Like, He's not really reached across the aisle other than when he needed to get Katie a job. Like, I feel like Walt is smart enough to realize, and I get it, he's lonely, but why? Why did they do this, Tom?
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree. And, like, when they talk about Walt, like, becoming friends with, like, Riggs and them being, like, buddy-buddy, like, I mean, you figure Walt could do better than making friends with Riggs. Or, I mean, I would guess like Riggs just showed him some sort of companionship, so then they kind of became fast friends, but they are very different people. And Walt is not necessarily going at it a great way to try to become Craig's friend, if that's truly what he wants. It's a weird dynamic. Like I said, I like the actors back and forth, but why he's got this huge list of grievances and transgressions seems a bit much.
Oh, well, I do that for all of my what I would call friends. They would call me an acquaintance, but I do list all the grievances. I believe it's in the good book where you're supposed to keep a record of wrong. That's what love is. But gotcha. To your point, watching Steve Carrell and John C. McGinley go back and forth, and Greg being like, "Am I supposed to follow you?" And he's like, "I don't know, Greg." And then he like sad sack goes into Walt's office so they can sit down and have this conversation. I appreciate anytime someone can't read Walt being like, "Walt, what do you want from me in this moment?" And this also brings up that because of Chrissel's like sadness, he missed out on meeting with a trustee, and his contract is up, and so he blew off a trustee, so now he has to get him a gift, which leads to Greg suggesting the e-bike, which leads to the gang that they form at the end of the episode. I enjoy these two together, but I also think two grown men, one being like, "Hey, I thought we were friends." I don't know. That's not a conversation I've had since I was 12 maybe, and even then it didn't go well, so I haven't had it since. I just assume everyone is my enemy, that way I don't have to clarify.
Smart, you don't get hurt.
Right, exactly. But I just want to reiterate, I find the two of them very funny, especially later on when they're in the hothouse.
Yeah. And ultimately this scene ends with like Walt kind of telling Craig like, "Hey, you have to now convince Dylan to take this other job, so like Riggs can come back and stay in his post." Right.
Okay, Archie, Sonny, Fred, they're back at the diner. We have 3 sets in this show. We've got the diner. This is like Friends. You're either in the apartment or at the coffee house, or in the student union, or walking across the grass. Archie's trying too hard. He's being annoying and not charming. Fred points it out. Cool. Fred doesn't believe in accents, Tom. You don't believe in space or that the world is round. Fred doesn't believe in accents. Are these all similar opinions? I don't know.
Is this a thing? I didn't get this. Was this a bit? Is this an actual thing people believe? I'm so confused.
I don't know. I think it was supposed to be what they describe in some books as a joke, but it didn't land. I didn't understand it. Let's move on.
I'm all for giving Freddie more rounding out his character, but for the guy not to believe in accents is just such a weird quirk.
Right. You think he's faking it, I guess? Is that what we're thinking? Because Archie is not faking it. His first name is Archie. He was born with an accent.
Queen's English, baby.
Yeah. Speaking of things that are born, Sonny has a doctor's appointment. She leaves, and Fred's like, I appreciated this. I think this was the right call. Yeah. He's like, hey, you need to be involved. You are going to be a father. This is important. She should not be going alone. I thought this was poignant. Although I don't know, the rest of the show, to have these kind of interesting, deep emotional moments. I want more of them, I guess, or at least I want to be more invested in these characters that this matters. But I appreciated what Fred did here.
Yeah, and it's it's a kind of bummer you had to bring in a brand new character to be able to give this advice to Archie here. But yeah, he says give yourself over to it; it will grab your heart, which is brilliant and delivered so great from Jim O'Heir.
Yeah, exactly. Although I don't think it has hands, so I don't know how it would grab his heart, but it's fine. I'm not a doctor. I don't know when babies get hands. All right, so Dylan and Katie, they are talking about Dylan's situation, and Kate, did you get
What's our situation, Dad?
Did you get this? Did you get the... Baby was a gift, Todd. Listen, did you get the... Are Katie and Dylan, were they cool before this? Were they close? I didn't realize. All of a sudden, Dylan and Katie are on a team, and they're like, hey, Zoe, who just happens to be sitting once again at the other set piece across the table. It's like, Zoe, are you looking for a cause? Let's get Dylan's cause of getting her the Dean's roll back. Your cause. And it's like, okay, cool. Glad you all are rallying behind Dylan, that we all felt so strongly about this. Which is interrupted, which is good comedy and good timing, of Greg showing up and being like, hey, how about that head of the English department, when he's surrounded by 4 people that are rallied against him. I laughed at this scene. I thought this was funny.
Oh, it was great. Like in the let's not get hysterical ladies, and then like immediately regretting it, and all just staring of daggers. Yeah, it harkened back to like the old Scott's Tots, just terrible Steve Carrell awkwardness. It was funny.
Yeah, you don't call them hysterical. You tell them they have to calm down. You say, please, you need to calm down so we can be rational. That's what you say. Or you have to say something like, you're acting like your mother. Please stop doing that. And then calm down. I think those are, I've only been married 4 times, but I think all of those would be better things to say than let's not get hysterical. Well, please don't write me emails.
Yeah, in the immortal words of Taylor Swift, you need to calm down.
Exactly.
Yeah,
a feminist icon, Taylor Swift, I think. I don't know. I've only, read what's on the internet. So, Fred and Greg, they rhyme. And we already talked about this, so let's move on, and I'll cut this piece out. Katie,
I think it should
Zoe,
stay now.
Walt.
Fred and Greg do not rhyme.
Wait, they don't? Fred and Greg don't rhyme? Fred, Greg, no? Okay.
I mean, there's an R and the E in the middle, but yeah, this is staying in.
Whatever.
Go on.
I'll edit out what I want to edit out, Tom. I am the editor. All right. So we then have Katie, Zoe, and Walt. And Zoe is speaking truth to power.
Don't rhyme.
Which is funny because Zoe and Walt rhyme. And truth and power rhyme. And we get a side comment in this about how the school mascot costume has been stolen and is out doing malfeasance. I thought that was funny. I really enjoy the actress that plays Katie. I don't have her name written down. I do think she's funny. I think she does a great job delivering these lines. I like her character. I don't care for the situation her character has been put in, but that's not her fault. But I do think she's funny where she's like, I don't know how to end this conversation. I'm going to be awkward, like her dad. And then like she's like, peace out. I don't know what to say. I don't know. I thought Katie was very funny in all of this.
Yeah, played by Charlie Clive. And like just the intimidation of Walt, which I think I can absolutely understand because I think he's an intimidating person, the way he just delivers his lines and holds people accountable. I loved their dynamic and back and forth. It was great.
I was reminded that John C. McGinley plays the police chief in Point Break. I don't know if you remember this, but
wow, yeah,
when Keanu Reeves shows up at he's like the FBI chief or whatever.
Yeah.
When Keanu Reeves shows up, he's the one that gives them the speech about we're fresh out of a-holes, or maybe we've got too many. I don't know. He's just so over the top. I love John C. McGinley so much, but he is intimidating. Yes, that's probably why she's intimidated. She saw him as an FBI director in Point Break. Which is like 30 years old at this point. But let's move on. We have Riggs and Walt. And this is this inside the... No, it's not. This is
they're doing like a walk and talk. And I know it's outside because Riggs is smoking and he looks so cool.
Oh, man. Listen, I think we should start smoking on pod, if I'm being honest. I have a smoke detector in here, but I've disabled it. So I think I could smoke in here with the door closed and probably get away with it. My children would be super mad because for some reason, do you know they're telling kids that cigarettes are bad, Tom? I don't know.
What?
Like these public schools these days. I don't know what it is, but
it's ridiculous.
They've given Riggs, and he's a phenomenal actor. Like in these 30 seconds, he does a great job of being kind of, I don't know if I kind of fell for it, Tom. He's like, listen, I almost died. I realized this is what matters to me. I will try and change. You've given me the wake up and change speech. Now give me the chance to change. I really enjoyed this moment because I kind of bought I don't know. I wish this guy was in more of the show. Why'd they bring him in, kill him, and then bring him back? What's happening here? Why they rolled the dice and they were like, Riggs isn't coming back this episode. Riggs isn't coming back this episode. Oh, Riggs is back for 5 minutes, and then he's gonna be gone again because we're giving Dylan the job.
I'm with you. Like, I don't understand. Like, he's obviously come in and made a lot of like terrible comments, and we as an audience think he's a terrible person. But like, we're trying to now give him a redeemable arc in one little scene here. And like, I agree with his sentiment at the end. Like, if you're gonna give you a wake up call speech, then give me a chance. You can't give him the speech and then immediately fire him and put Dylan in that position. But what happens at the end of the episode? Exactly that. So like, this scene meant nothing. Like, it was weird.
Although, maybe the show didn't show us, but he got done with this speech with Walt, he walked 5 yards, and then he tapped someone on the fanny that he wasn't supposed to, and Walt immediately fired him. So I enjoyed, like, I felt for him. I felt a little bit of sympathy, but I have no doubt that this character, as it is written, would immediately lapse back into being someone who would get canceled or do something atrocious. So... Is he still
around at this point, or is he gone?
I think he's
now
gone.
that Dylan has his job.
I want to know what that guy's paycheck was for this show, because he's pretty famous. He's been in a lot of things. Like, I don't know why. Anyways, I enjoyed him, but he's probably gone. That, or he shows up on the hockey team. Maybe he's the assistant coach. Who knows? Or maybe he's the head of the English department. I don't know. This all cuts with the mascot driving the little like campus cart. And just staring at Walt, and Walt tilting his head. I love this. I love this so much.
Do you have a thought for what this mascot is? Is it like a colonial gentleman? Like, I don't know what the guy is.
It's a Ludlow. It's a Luddite. It's a Luddite. I know Luddite means something. I don't know what it means. And quite frankly, maybe this is where I get rigsed. You know, I don't know. But I don't know what it is. I do know that we're going to get a full episode where they're chasing this mascot down, and that is the plot driver. I just feel it in my bones, Tom. Maybe they mix hockey and mascot. Yeah.
Okay. A quick Google search says a Luddite is a person opposed to new technology, industrialization, or modernization, often holding a preference for traditional manual methods. So sure, maybe that's what the mascot is.
I think I nailed it. I think I came up with, I think I pulled a word out of my brain. And I nailed it, Tom. You know?
Suffering from dry, tired, irritated eyes? Don't let dry eyes win. Use Systane Pro. It hydrates, restores, and protects dry eyes for up to 12 hours. Systane Pro. Triple action dry eye relief.
Cop-Hawk. You wrote Cop-Hawk.
I sure did.
Golly. Give me more of the cop. This guy's so funny. Anyways, Greg and Dylan are on the electric scooter. How much do you think they got paid by the electric scooter conglomerate to have this electric scooter be the funnest thing on this show? Like,
I feel like it was branded too. It's like Razor. Like, you can see it on the side of it.
Oh, the Razors we used to pedal around on or scoot around on those Razor scooters. They're making e-bikes now. What an incredible company. So. Those guys are not Luddites, Tom. They embrace technology and they continue to adapt like any
What's
good
the opposite
company.
Of a Luddite?
The opposite of a Luddite would be like a crypto bro. I don't know. Who knows? An anti-Luddite, Tom? Probably. Yeah. Boom.
Technophile.
Nailed it. A pro-Luddite. No, anti-Luddite worked better. Anyways, let's move on. He's not going to ticket these two because they're riding illegally as long as DJ gets some ice time. And I'm like, cool, give us the hockey episode already, show. Darn you. Like, what are we doing?
Well, like in Greg's comment, Peg's like, he's already a good player. He's going to get plenty of ice time anyways. But, you know, the Cop-Hawk still takes it as a big win. Like, yes, I did this for my son.
He goes, I love being a cop, which is so good. He's like, I got something I wanted that he was going to get anyways. And he's like, man, being a cop's rad. Oh, man. And I believe he will also be involved in hunting down the Luddite mascot. I believe it in my bones, Tom.
Sure.
All right, I don't want to dive into this episode. I'm sorry, this scene too deeply because we already touched on it. But then we get the doctor scene that we've seen in hundreds of other things where they do an ultrasound and the father, who hasn't really been in on the pregnancy, is all of a sudden just like, oh, we made life. How incredibly beautiful. And it's like, cool, man. Like, although I don't believe Archie's ever watched TV or a movie. I in his character. I think he's a book guy, so maybe maybe he does not know this is a cliche.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it is very cliche. You get that like acoustic guitar moment, like music kind of slowly coming in as they're longingly looking at the monitor. I ended up liking this doctor. You two should get a womb. I want a doctor with does more puns.
They threatened to fire her. That was unnecessary. I got to be honest, Tom. I would bet money that there is a scene just like this in Scrubs, and I can darn well like guarantee that it was like an emotional moment, that even though you've seen it a ton of times, like something that they did in that led to a emotional payoff. And I just don't feel like they did it here. Yeah. Which is sad because I really like Sonny and I hate Archie, That's just something. Although the baby does have his chin dimple, which I was like,
goodness,
Archie
always making it about him.
Yeah. All right, we're in the hot house. Your favorite house. You don't like a cold house, Tom. You love a hot house.
Love it.
And this is Walt and Greg. Greg's like, I don't want to come in. I don't want to sweat anymore.
He's fully dressed.
But Walt brings up, he's like, hey, you've shown me nothing but disrespect. You made love on my desk, I know, because the Sphinx statues were moved ever so slightly and put back in the wrong place. And this is where we get the Walt is lonely speech. And I got it. Like, I understand, like, we all put up fronts. Walt's like the tough exterior that intimidates people, and he's clearly lonely looking for a friend. I don't know. I think if you got a body like John C. McGinley, you got plenty of friends. You know what I'm saying, Tom? High five?
Yeah. High five, buddy. I'm with you. But yeah, like I said earlier, like the whole idea of like friends being in short supply, I was just surprised that Walt clicked with somebody like Riggs.
Sure. Then, and here he's almost like, listen, I'm going to lose Riggs because Riggs is terrible and I'm going to have to eventually fire him. But I want you, Greg. I want you to be my best friend. And also, he was like, hey, my wife leaves for 6 months. In one episode, he's like, yeah, I figured marriage out. Like, we only see each other for half a year. In this episode, he's like, oh, she's gone for half the year, and it makes me sad. And it's like, well, can't have it both ways, buddy. You can't have figured out marriage and also be sad that she's gone half the year. You got to be, although maybe if she only left for a quarter of the year. Tom,
okay.
I think
Smart.
I might have solved marriage. I think I might have done the equation and solved it based on Walt's hypothesis being wrong.
You're Rain Man.
Oh, how many toothpicks are on the ground? All right, so Greg, once again, Greg is okay. Here we go. Ready, Tom? Here's what I'm going to do. Here's what I'm going to pitch to you. The premise of the show is Greg is a guy that like doesn't have it all together. He's like in a stasis because his wife left him and he's been like devastated by that, and he's just like kept to himself in Florida, blah blah blah. He comes here, he has like a night with the frat guys. We were pitched that he was going to become Rooster. This was going to like change him. In this episode, he's the guy going around that's like giving everyone great life advice. So like I don't think you can tell us, hey, he is a character that is like in stasis, struggling himself. But then in this episode with Dylan, with Walt, he's the one that shows up and is like, hey, like Dylan's your friend. If you don't decide to promote her to that role, like she will continue to be your friend, but the decision has to come from you. He's like the sage advice guy. You can't have both things. You can't have the guy be like the one that we're rooting to be fixed or like come out of his shell, and also be the guy that is solving everyone's problems. Is that fair?
No, I think it's incredibly fair. And again, I feel like the show is just sold us kind of a false set of goods here, where you thought it was going to be kind of one thing, but it was completely another. And I don't love that in like shows or like movie trailers, things like that, where they do pitch the show in one direction, but then it's completely different in the other. Which, I mean, again, it's fine, but don't pitch the show like that in your trailer.
That's fair, but even like outside of that, just in terms of what they've told us about this character, we seem to be getting different. Once again, he's like broken at one point, and now he's fine. He's the guy Walt's going to, who is the president.
Was he ever
college.
really broken? Like, I mean, yes, he went through this divorce, and he still seemingly wants to get back with his ex-wife. But I mean, I don't think he's ever really shown us that he's broken.
Well, he has the conversation early in the show when he has the conversation with Dylan, where he's like, "Listen, after my wife left me, like everyone kept telling me that she was like better than me," and he's like, "And that I've struggled with that for a long time. I felt alone." And then also his daughter is like, "Hey, you haven't done anything. You haven't like moved on at all. You've just been pining away." And so I guess maybe broken is the wrong term, but he's been in Arrested Development, Tom. And so I don't know. I think it's strange that like in this episode, Greg decided to solve everyone's problems. This one should have been called the episode where Greg solves everyone's problems. That's all.
That's fair. I'm with you. Like,
and the problem he should have solved is shoving Archie down the stairs. That's the one problem he should have solved.
Or poison that croissant.
Well, no, because the croissant goes to Katie, Tom. So then he would have poisoned Katie.
The perfect crime.
The perfect crime because there's no motive because you accidentally killed the wrong people. Tom, I think you solved it. Man, you're a genius. Oh, so good. So good. All right, let's finish this out. So you're just incredible. Speaking of which, we have the scene where Archie is a coward and like just waves at Katie and doesn't show up. Congratulations. You got 2 breakfasts and now he's gone. All because he saw an ultrasound of a blob, and now he's in love.
Does it have hands? We don't know.
We don't know. It does have a dimpled chin. That's something that could clearly be seen in that weird photograph. All right.
Look at this photograph.
Our favorite Nickelback song. Oh, man. All right. Let's finish with, was there ever a doubt in your mind that Walt was going to give Dylan the job?
Yeah, I didn't. In all honesty, like when they brought Riggs back, I'm like, okay, like they're bringing this character back.
Surely Riggs will be back for more than a half an episode, and Dylan will like be without the job she loves for more than an episode.
Well, especially when I know, like, I guess you didn't realize, but like, I think this got picked up for a season 2 like a week or 2 ago. So like, this isn't necessarily a new revelatory thing. So if they're gonna do more showisms and writing and drag these characters out for more, like, it doesn't surprise me that some of this stuff might be dragged out a little bit. So I thought he would still be Dean for a while, but then Dylan could do something to kind of prove her worth or whatever else. But no, we'll just, I mean, I think we can all agree that Dylan is likely going to be a much better Dean of faculty than him, but then it's just taking away this kind of thread line or through line with the story.
Yeah, it would have been nice to let us wallow in like Dylan's disappointment for an episode or 2, because then the payoff is that much better. Instead, it's like we took it from her for half an episode, we're giving it back, and it's lovely. Like, once again, I love Dylan as a character. I like John C. McKinley coming in here and like being like, "Hey, I need you to find a head of the English department as my new dean of faculty." And it's very funny. They've got her reading like the saddest poem in the world about graveyards. And then she has to go back in and like read the sad poem while she's smiling.
Yeah.
I just thought that was a great like back and forth. It's tough to read World War I trench dudes about to die poetry with a smile on your face. But she does a great job. But yeah, drag it out a little bit. That way the emotional payoff is there. They do not do that. And Walt's like solving problems. He then cuts the lock and he's got an e-bike and everyone's good. Greg and Walt are best buds now. They're in a gang, Tom.
All right. Next episode, I'm assuming they're going to have leather jackets with matching emblems on the back.
If they don't, it's a huge miss. They're the e-bikers, you know? The Luddites, they would call themselves. But listen, I had fun. I wonder to myself, once we're done with this, if in a year I came back and I watched the show, and I watched it like 2 episodes at a time, and I kind of know what to expect, whether or not I would find more joy in just like the lighthearted comedy and the lack of emotional stakes. I don't know. I don't know. It's kind of like going and rewatching Scrubs, but I would argue Scrubs, like the comedy and the mix of emotional stakes still hit. So I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think it's a Bill Lawrence joint that tries to tiptoe the line between comedy and drama, and I think he does it really, really well in some other shows. This, to me, just hasn't been one of them.
Just from the emotional side, I do think I'm still laughing quite a bit.
Well, but that's my problem, though. Like,
I know what your problem is, Tom.
I got a lot of problems, but like the individual actors and the lines and the jokes are not bad, but it's just because I don't care for the characters and what they're doing. Like the jokes just don't land as hard as they would if it was a better written drama.
That's fair. Well, that was episode 7, Tom. We have 13 more to go for this season. This is a NBC aughts sitcom, so there's like 400 episodes in a season. No, we've got 3 more left, and then a second season, which I'd like to talk with you about offline.
Off mic, okay.
But yeah, we had some reviews, Tom, and as we've promised, those that send reviews get reviews read online or on air, and we just want to thank all of you that do listen and reach out to us. It is fun. Tom and I do this for nothing more than each other, and the fact that we want AI to have a really good like mix of our voices so that when they need to use this for propaganda for the next war, they can use our voices. So, Tom, with that intro, go ahead, buddy.
Thank you for that. We did finally find Adeline, who we mentioned last episode. We got her review, her written comments, which she says, a witty and interesting podcast. I've thoroughly enjoyed the dynamic and banter on the Rooster eps, and will definitely be back and listen to the Ted Lasso one. So again, thank you very much, Adeline, for leaving that very kind review.
Adeline, I would recommend Outer Range. Go listen to our Outer Range podcast. I'm not going to say we peaked at that point, but we definitely peaked in the hole in the ground. So that show was bonkers. Have fun. It's on Amazon.
At least season 1. And then we have another one from, love this name, Tommy Pickles, gave us a review saying, love Team Binge. Not sure how long it's been since I started listening to these two, but I've enjoyed each and every episode. Can't wait to see what next show will be. So thank you so much, Tommy Pickles. And
why do you love the name Tommy Pickles, Tom? Is it because your name is Tom? Why I don't understand.
It's just, it tickles my funny bone. It's via the Rugrats, which I enjoyed as a youth. So
we didn't have cable, Tom. This will surprise you. We didn't have cable, so I've never watched an episode of Rugrats. I grew up Nickelodeon-less.
Missed out.
All right. Thank you both. That was very kind. I don't necessarily agree with you, but those were kind words. So for those of you that would like to reach out, if we're missing something, if you have questions or comments, if we're being too unkind, you can reach us at teambingepodcast@gmail.com. We do read your emails, and for the most part, we reply when they're kind. Tom, go ahead. What else did I miss?
Yeah, and follow us on the socials at Team Binge or at Team Binge Podcast, Blue Sky, Instagram, Twitter, Threads, all the fun ones. And yeah, let us know what you think of the show. I feel like from being on the internets and looking at people comment on it, it's definitely a mixed bag. There's a lot of people that do very much enjoy it, but I do see a lot of people kind of giving some of the criticisms that we have, which is fair and fine, and everybody's entitled to their opinion, even if some of them are wrong.
Sure. We're going to stick it out. We're going to finish it. Listen, maybe the finale we're both just like weeping, like we can't even record because it hit us so hard, you know, like the rooster's dead and it sacrificed itself for that Luddite mascot, like it jumped in front of the bus or the hockey puck, something like that. You know, I don't want to write the finale for him. I'm going to let AI do that. But
the dice will choose.
Sure, the 20-sided dice, which either rolls a 1 or a 20. All right, for Team Binge, I've been Julian.
And I've been Tom. Till next week, everybody.